Hey everyone, welcome. Are you ready to dive deep into some wisdom today?
I am.
So we're looking at 1 Minute Wisdom. It's by Tony DeMello,
Okay.
and it's not your typical self-help book.
No, not at all. It's
Hmm.
much more than that.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, almost like a collection of stories,
Yeah.
like fables almost.
Exactly. Each of these little stories has this master figure,
Yeah.
and he kind of drops these like nuggets of wisdom,
Hmm.
you know. They're really powerful.
Yeah, and you know what I really liked about this book is, you know, I love a good story.
Of course.
But it's not just like a feel-good story.
Right.
These are stories that like make you think
Yeah.
about the world and about yourself.
Yeah, and how we see
And
things.
Mello even recommends like just taking it in small doses.
Oh,
Like a
absolutely.
little bit at a time, not
Yeah.
to rush through it.
No, take your time.
Yeah.
It's not about finishing the book. It's about really letting each story sink in.
Yeah, and see how it applies to your life.
Yeah. Like almost like a meditation on each story.
Yeah. I mean, I've been kind of like revisiting certain stories
Oh, me too.
that really hit me hard.
Yeah, there are so many gems in there. It's amazing.
One of the first ones that like kind of blew me away was this idea of miracles.
Oh, yeah, the miracle story.
It's about this guy who asks a disciple about the master's miracles.
Right, and the answer is just, it shifts your whole perspective. It's
Yeah.
so interesting how he phrases it.
Yeah. So the disciple says, "In your land, a miracle is God doing someone's will. In our country, it's someone doing God's will."
Whoa.
What a shift.
It's profound, isn't it?
Yeah, instead of, waiting around for something, some divine intervention.
Right, like God's going to snap his fingers and suddenly everything's okay.
Yeah, like what if the miracle is aligning yourself with that,
Yeah.
with a purpose?
It's a powerful way to think about it.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, are we looking for miracles in the wrong places?
Like, what if we're actually capable of these miracles just by, surrendering to something bigger than ourselves?
Yeah.
And that kind of ties in with this next story about spiritual adulthood.
Oh, right. The one where the master asks, when will you stop leaning on God and stand on your own 2 feet?
Yeah.
It seems a little harsh at first, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But he's making a deeper point.
Yeah, it's not about, God abandoning you or something like that.
No. It's
Yeah.
like a good parent. They don't want their child to be dependent
Yeah,
forever.
right. It's about empowering you.
Exactly. Empowering you to become independent, to find your own strength.
It made me think about those areas in my life where maybe I'm leaning a little too hard on something,
Oh, I see.
whether it's a belief system or a habit or even a person.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, what would it take to cultivate that inner strength, to really stand on your own 2 feet?
That's a good question for all of us, I think. And this whole taking responsibility, I think it ties in perfectly with another theme that runs throughout the book. It's the power of silence and awareness.
Absolutely. DeMello really emphasizes those as keys to unlocking our potential.
Yeah, like in one story, he even describes silence as the essence of religion, the language of God.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not just about being quiet on the outside. It's about creating that inner space,
Mm.
where we can actually listen to our own wisdom.
But I mean, let's be real. Finding silence is pretty hard.
It can be.
In this world of constant noise and distractions, I mean, what do we have to do? Go live in a cave?
I don't think it has to be that drastic. What if it's more about finding little pockets of stillness throughout the day?
Okay, yeah.
Maybe it's taking a few conscious breaths before we check our phones,
Hmm.
or just noticing the sensations in our body as we're walking or eating, like mini retreats within our busy lives.
I've been trying to incorporate more mindfulness into my routine. And it's amazing how much calmer I feel after even just a few minutes.
It's incredible how powerful those little moments can be.
But what about awareness? How does that fit into the picture?
Well, awareness is like the spotlight, right?
Right.
It illuminates those moments of silence. It helps us see what's really there.
Okay.
It's about paying attention to our thoughts and feelings and sensations without judgment, just observing.
Which reminds me of this other story about seeing clearly.
Oh, yeah, the one about the moon.
The master talks about looking at the moon and just seeing the moon.
It sounds simple, right? But it's so profound.
Yeah, but then he points out that a hungry person might see a loaf of bread.
Right. Or a lover might see the face of their beloved.
Yeah, our perceptions are always filtered through our own experiences and desires.
It's true. We see the world through our own lens.
And there's this one anecdote I have to share. It's too good. About the master who's scraping this brie on the floor while his disciple is trying to meditate.
Oh, yeah, I love that one. The disciple's like, what are you doing?
Dude, I'm trying to meditate.
You're ruining my zen.
And the master says, I'm polishing this brick to make a mirror.
What? What?
It's a brilliant metaphor.
And the point is, you can't polish your ego into enlightenment.
Exactly. It's about letting go of that striving, that forcing, and just allowing ourselves to be.
It makes you think.
It does. What about you, dear listener? Where are you seeing the moon as something else? Are you trying to polish your ego into enlightenment?
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely.
Right.
Share your reflections with us. Welcome back. We're diving deeper into 1-minute wisdom.
Yeah, I hope you had a chance to let those stories sink in a bit.
There are so many good ones, right? It's hard to pick a favorite.
It really is. I keep thinking about different ones.
Yeah, me too. They really stick with you. One theme that I keep coming back to is this idea of detachment and letting go.
Yeah, that's a big one in the book.
And it can be a tough one, you know, especially in a world that tells us to hold on to everything.
It is. It goes against everything we're taught. But DeMello is pointing to something deeper here.
Yeah, it's not just about giving up stuff or desires, right?
Right. It's about our relationship to those things.
Like, can we be in the world without clinging to the outcomes?
Exactly. Can we enjoy the journey without being attached to the destination?
There's a story in the book that uses this great image, a fish out of water gasping for air.
Yeah, the master uses that image to show how we sometimes cling to things outside ourselves, thinking they'll bring us happiness.
But they end up suffocating us.
Yeah, it's like we're trying to breathe air underwater. It doesn't work.
It makes me think of those times I held on to a relationship that was clearly over.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
You know, I was so afraid to let go.
Makes sense. But looking back, I realized I was just wasting energy.
Trying to control things you can't control. What's interesting is that DeMello talks about enlightenment as instantaneous, not gradual.
That's a radical idea.
Yeah.
Not a slow process of letting go, but a sudden shift.
So like waking up to the reality that you're already whole.
Right. Seeing through the illusion of separation.
But how do you apply that to everyday life, you know? Letting go is easy to talk about.
It is. Maybe start by noticing where you're clinging the most. Possessions, opinions, outcomes, relationships even.
What happens when you loosen your grip? What shows up?
Does it create space for something new?
I've been trying to practice this with my work. I'm kind of a perfectionist.
I hear you.
I get really attached to how things turn out.
Yeah. But lately I've been focusing more on the process, letting go of that need to control the final product.
Yeah.
And how's that working out?
You know what? It's made me more creative,
That's awesome.
more productive even.
That's the power of detachment, right? It's not about being passive. It's about finding that balance between engagement and non-attachment.
Okay, now for a real head-scratcher. The true nature of the self. DeMello gets pretty deep here.
He does. Lots of cryptic responses. Intriguing analogies.
There's this one exchange I love. A disciple asks about union with God, and the master just says, not one, not two. What? Right? What does that even mean?
A classic Zen koan, meant to break through our logical thinking.
Push us beyond words.
Exactly. And the master uses all these images, the sun and its light, the ocean and the wave, the singer and the song.
Pointing to a reality beyond our categories. We think in opposites, you know? Self and other, good and bad.
Right, we forget there's a whole other way of experiencing the world.
Maybe the way to get there isn't through thinking, but through directly experiencing it.
Like who or what is aware of these thoughts, feelings, sensations?
Peeling back the layers, right, to see what's at the core. Kind of scary, though.
Is it? What if what you find is amazing?
True. What if it's this infinite source of love and wisdom?
And it's been there all along, just waiting.
Now for something a little lighter. DeMello has a great sense of humor.
He does. It's refreshing. Spirituality doesn't have to be so serious.
There's this one story. A gambler gets caught cheating and they throw him out a window.
Ouch.
He goes to the master for advice and the master just tells him, next time, play on the ground floor.
What?
What kind of advice is that?
It's hilarious. The disciples are shocked. They think the master should tell him to stop gambling.
Right, totally.
But the master's like, I knew he wouldn't stop.
It's so practical, but also compassionate.
He's meeting the guy where he's at, not judging.
Yeah, not preaching. Just a little humor and perspective.
Exactly. Everyone's on their own journey.
Okay, another funny one. This disciple is planning her wedding, and she wants to put the poor guests at the head table.
To show her love for them.
Right. But the master points out it'll just make everyone uncomfortable.
Good intentions don't always equal good outcomes.
It's true. Sometimes the most loving thing is to step back and look at the bigger picture.
Not get caught up in our own ideas.
Okay, last one for now. This idea of non-doing.
Non-doing sounds paradoxical.
Right. Our culture's all about doing, doing, doing. But the master is pointing to a different way of acting.
From a place of stillness?
He uses this analogy. The sun rising, we can't make it happen, but we can make sure we're there to see it.
Beautiful image, aligning with a deeper intelligence.
I've been trying this out in my own life. I used to think I had to force things to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Lately, I've been surrendering more, letting go.
And how's that going?
You know what? It's amazing how things fall into place when you stop trying to control them.
That's the power of non-doing.
Yeah.
Trusting that there's a greater wisdom at work.
Let go and let God.
Or let go and let the universe do its thing.
Okay, I want to hear one more story before we move on. The one about the master and the economist.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
This economist is going on about his blueprint for development, maximizing profits, expanding the economy.
Typical economist.
And the master just asks him, isn't that the thinking of a cancer cell?
Wow. Talk about a reality check.
It makes you think about our obsession with growth and progress. What does real prosperity look like?
This is just accumulating more stuff?
Hmm.
Or is it about living sustainably,
Yeah.
in harmony?
Yeah, are our economic models even working?
What if true wealth is about something more?
We've covered a lot today.
Detachment, the self, humor, non-doing. 1 minute wisdom really makes you think.
Before we go to the last part, what's resonating with you? What's sticking in your mind?
Think about it. We'll be back to explore more wisdom soon.
Back again with more 1 minute wisdom. These stories, wow, they really get the conversation going.
They do. So many layers to peel back. I love the ones that kind of turn our ideas about spirituality upside down.
Yeah, DeMella's not afraid to shake things up. There's this one story, a disciple wants to know how to get eternal life, and the master just says, eternal life is now, come into the present.
Whoa. Straight to the point.
No messing around. And of course the disciple is all, but I am in the present. And the master's like, nope, you haven't dropped the past.
It's like we're all carrying around this baggage. Memories, regrets, weighing us down.
Totally. I know I get stuck replaying old conversations, worrying about things that haven't even happened. Like my mind's a time machine.
Always going somewhere else. But the master's saying, the past is gone, over. Learn from it? Sure. But no need to keep reliving it.
And the future. Just a bunch of what ifs. The only real thing is right now.
So come back to your senses. What are you seeing, hearing, feeling?
Like hitting the reset button.
Exactly. Be here now.
Okay, this one's intense. Disciple wants to find God. Master keeps saying just one word, desire.
Intense is right. The disciple thinks he does desire God with all his heart, but the master sees something else.
So they're bathing in the river, and the master, bam, pushes the disciple's head underwater.
Whoa! Talk about a shock.
And when he comes up gasping for air, the master's like, why'd you struggle so much?
The answer's obvious, right? We need to breathe.
And that's how much we need to desire God, that same intensity.
Not just a wish, a burning, driving need.
Think about something you've really wanted. A relationship, a job. You put in the effort, overcame obstacles.
And our spiritual journey is the same. That same passion, that commitment.
DeMello really flips the script on what it means to be holy. It's not about acting all pious and following rules.
There's this great story, this master, he seems totally normal, gets depressed, laughs, even checks out a pretty woman.
And this visitor's all like, he's not a holy man. And a disciple says, it's one thing to be holy, another for you to think he seems holy.
I love that. We have all these ideas about how spiritual people should act.
But true holiness, it can show up in unexpected ways.
Look beyond the surface. See the essence.
This next one always makes me laugh. The master supposedly has this book, All the Knowledge About God.
Well, can you imagine? People would be going crazy for that book.
Total bestseller. And the scholar finally gets it, opens it up, all the pages are blank.
No way.
The scholar's like, what's this? And the master just smiles. See how much it indicates.
Brilliant. The deepest truths can't be put into words.
I'm always trying to figure things out by reading, thinking, but sometimes you just gotta experience it, quiet the mind, be open to the mystery.
Embrace the silence.
So much of this book is about finding that wisdom within. The master keeps pointing his disciples back to themselves.
There's that story. Disciple wants to find God. Master says, he's right in front of you. Disciple's like, I don't see him. The master says, you're like a drunkard who can't find his way home.
Meaning what? We're all kind of stumbling around, blind to what's right there.
Lost in our own heads.
Another one, the disciple wants to understand the world. The master says, turn away from it.
Counterintuitive, right?
Hmm.
But to see clearly, sometimes you got to step back from the noise.
Create that inner sanctuary.
Find that stillness.
Well, here we are at the end of our deep dive into 1-minute wisdom.
Amazing journey. Short stories, big impact.
Last thought from the master to take with you. He says, all suffering comes from a person's inability to sit still and be alone.
Wow. Face your fears. Find that peace within.
So take a moment, be present. Listen to that inner wisdom.
Maybe you'll find your own inner master.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.